holidays are winding through. New Year is on the horizon. So we are still kind of in the slow mode right now for the shop. But in the meantime, I do want to get you guys ready because we're going to have some content soon. And you guys have been asking for me to do some scooter content. So I'm going to walk you around a couple of the scooters that we have in the house. That's right, in the house. So you guys may have seen this one before. If you haven't seen the scooters that I have, you should definitely go on the channel and check it out. We've got some really fast scooters. I'll put a little clip here you can see of the drag scooter.
Who do you think's gonna win, brother? Ready? You ready for this?
And then now this scooter is my favorite scooter. I'm just gonna say it that way. This is a Yamaha Aerox. These scooters are not available in this country. You're probably never gonna see one in this country. And if you do see one, it's a treat. It's really rare. So Yamaha made these scooters for the European market, and they're really popular in Europe. I would say if you're a 14-year-old living somewhere in Europe, this is your dream ride. Like this is where you start out. This is where the madness begins. It's a 49cc scooter from the factory. This one has been modified clearly just because you guys know how I operate. This one is 70ccs now. It's a metric kit, upgraded crank, upgraded cylinder. These are water cooled. Big difference between these and the American variety, which would be like that one right there. Also the Yamaha Zuma. They have the same basic motors, but one big difference is these are water cooled. So right here from the factory, you'd have a water pump, where I've taken this one off, taken the water pump off and replaced it with an electronic water pump, which is tucked in there neatly. And the electric pump just circulates water at the same speed all the time, so it's not RPM dependent. The factory water pumps break, they wear out really quick. It's the Achilles heel of this motor. This motor being a horizontal Minarelli. So the motors themselves are Italian, and the Yamaha engines have genuine, Minarelli motors. There are different variants of this motor that are offered in the Chinese scooters that we get here, and those they're still modifiable, but the quality of those is a little bit less. They're Chinese, so the tolerances, everything's off just a little bit, but you can still make them nice. The motor that's in my drag scooter that you guys saw, that one is a Chinese clone, and you saw what I did with that. Now, I completely rebuilt it, so you might expect to do something similar if you want to get yours up to a performance level that's that high. But either way, these motors are strong performers. 49 cc's from the factory. They're only rated at like 2.5 horsepower from the factory. But with like this setup right here, 70cc, Yasuni pipe, a nice big carburetor. With those, this is a Delorto 21. You can't really see the carburetor so well, but it's in there. But anyway, with a nice carburetor, nice cylinder, things like that, you can expect to get north of 12, 13 horsepower out of a setup like this. And this one is making 16 horsepower. So a pretty strong little scooter. Now, the other part that I like to upgrade on scooters is the brakes. Brakes always make a big difference on a scooter. This scooter's special because these scooters come with hydraulic disc brakes in the front and the rear. And this one's been upgraded. So this is a stage 6 RT brake, so it's a much bigger disc and a 4-piston caliper. And in the back, you've got your little boy, but it's from the factory. They come with Brembos, which is really good. So even though I upgraded this one, the factory brakes on these are actually not bad. Most of the Chinese clones are going to have a drum brake in the rear, and maybe a disc brake up front. But even the older Yamahas, like this Jog, has disc or drum brakes, I should say, front and back. Drum brake in the front and drum brake in the rear. This scooter is significantly smaller than that one, so that makes a huge difference. The Jog is a tiny scooter. It weighs nothing, super, super lightweight, and because of that, you don't need as much power to go as fast. This has a basic Polini kit on it. It's the one size up. Basically, it's a 70 millimeter, but it's still cast iron. It's nothing crazy, not a very high performance setup, but with the pipe on it, it revs out pretty well, and it handles its own. So this is a much larger scooter. Not something I would recommend if you're under, like, say 5'5", 5'4", something like that. You want to be, you know, what I would consider average height. But nonetheless, a wheelie machine all the way. This thing is, you cannot keep the front end off the ground from a stop. And a really, I love this Valentino Rossi livery. It's just really cool. Everything about this thing is just fun. Top speed from the factory, 35 miles an hour. You're not going to get much more than that without some CVT tuning and whatnot. In this setup, this bike is about 75 miles per hour, so significantly faster. We're over the 1 mile per hour per cc, which is a big hump to cross, and it just makes this thing a lot better on the highway. So, well, I say on the highway, on the big roads. So if you're riding around town, not a big deal, but if you are cruising on some 4-lane and some bigger roads, 6-lane and whatnot, you definitely want to be able to at least go 60, and that setup keeps me happy 60 miles an hour. I'm not overdoing it. Doesn't feel like it's breaking a sweat. Those scooters, you don't even want to go 70 miles an hour on these. This one, I don't think I went 70 on this one, but I know it was deep in the 60s, 62, 63, and it feels terrifying on this tiny little thing. So, you know, weight-wise, this thing's like 100 and change, 100 pounds, probably 130, 140 pounds, while this thing is over 200 pounds. So that difference in mass creates a much safer feeling on the road at high speed. So this is just a better all-around solution if you're going to be commuting. You don't want to be on a little tiny boy like this. So Carla has a matching, we got matching Jogs, sort of. Hers is still 49cc, it's a stock engine, but we stuck a pipe on it and jetted the carburetor, and she's actually been over 55 miles an hour on this scooter. And again, these things do 30 stock. So 55, not too bad. Stock 49cc, again, over that 1 mile per hour per cc rating. That's the goods. That's what you want to be. And she can keep up with this one now when I'm cruising. So the two of us can cruise relative speed because she's smaller than me. So she doesn't need as much power to get that speed. The black scooter at the shop that I showed you guys in the video, the drag scooter, that black scooter is a monster. That's a too fast 70cc still, but it made 30 wheel horsepower. So almost double the power that this one made. Think about that. That's 10 times the factory horsepower. Crazy. And that power level is good for 90 miles an hour plus. I mean, that thing just keeps screaming. 15,000 RPM. That's the other thing too. Factory RPM on these, 6,000 RPM or so. You don't want to go past like 10,000 RPM with one of these with a factory crank. You want to upgrade that. So this one has an upgraded crank. This is still on a stock crank, but we've got an upgraded crank on this one, and then obviously the too fast crank on the drag scooter. But either way, I just wanted to show you guys basically what's going on here, because the next evolution of this, which for me is kind of cool, is I'm gonna get, if you guys haven't heard, I'm gonna get an electric motorcycle. Now it's not quite a big motorcycle, so I would consider it as kind of the size of the scooters. So to me, it's kind of a representation of where this market is headed. because we're phasing out the gas stuff. They went to 4-stroke. You don't even get the 2-stroke bikes anymore. So the power is not there anymore compared to where you were with these 2-stroke bikes. But these electric bikes, they've got tons of power, unlimited power technically. And oh, I forgot to mention too, the shock. Really, really nice shock. Paoli suspension from the factory. This is an upgraded Paoli piece. Really nice. That's a Molossi shock. But anyway, the electrics are going to be so much more powerful, so much more acceleration, and just a much cleaner and easier to deal with solution on a daily basis. So stay tuned for that. That's coming right after the new year. I can't wait to dig into that. I've got a couple of people that I've been talking to and working with on creating an upgrade schedule for it, and I can't wait to show you guys. We're gonna have some fun with the guys from scootertuning.ca. They are in town and they're gonna have one too. So we're gonna be upgrading. We're gonna be talking about it, and we're gonna see where this market goes with these awesome electric bikes. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys are having a great holiday, and I'll probably do one more video before the new year, but if I don't, Happy New Year. We'll see you in the next one.